new employees. Governments, state and federal governments, they have no problem just hiring in the middle of a recession, adding new employees, making the budgets bigger, spending $1.50 for every dollar that comes in, and all it is doing is bankrupting the rest of us. And how unfair is it that government employees make so much more money than the rest of us in the private sector? Why? Why is there a privileged class in this country? Bob Barr and I want to stop that.
Let's return to the issues in just a moment. For the next minute or two, I'd like to focus a little bit on you, if I may. How were you selected as the vice presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party?
Well, I campaigned for President of the United States, Libertarian presidential nomination, for about a year and a half, and traveled all over the country to 38 states, I believe it was, and attended lots of Libertarian conventions, met voters all over the country, and Bob Barr came in and decided he was going to run for president as well, and the two of us basically split the conservative wing of the Libertarian Party, meaning people that are very fiscally conservative, and we're both ex-Republicans, both high profile, and we split a very large portion. It was about 2/3 of the voters, and 1/3 went to more liberal regimen, or more liberal groups in the Libertarian Party that were running for president of the United States. And when it came down to the convention, because you're not elected by primaries by the voters in the Libertarian Party, we're the only party in America that I know of that elects through a convention, delegates at a convention in Denver, Colorado, in Memorial Day weekend. And it was a very close vote, nip and tuck, between three people, and it was myself, Bob Barr, and a third person. And I threw my support to Bob Barr, which gave him the presidential nomination, and he threw his support to me for vice president, and then the delegates voted again, and I was given the vice presidential nomination. It's a heck of a ticket, and it's proven itself its weight in gold, because we've gotten more media in just the last 2 months in the middle of the summer than any other Libertarian ticket has ever gotten in history, combined times 10. So it's really been a great choice, I think, that has electrified Libertarian voters around the country.
The Constitution provides a rather sketchy description of the duties and responsibilities of the Vice President of the United States. In fact, I think the only one they mention is to preside over the United States Senate. If you were writing a job description for the position you're seeking, what would it say?
Well, it would say that in the past, the vice president was a pretty useless position, mostly presiding over funerals around the world, and occasionally breaking a tie in the Senate. When it's an exact tie, 50-50, then of course the vice president comes in and breaks the tie. But other than that, vice presidents are mostly ceremonial, don't do much until this one. Dick Cheney came along. Dick Cheney kind of rewrote the record books and became a very powerful vice president. Some would say kind of a shadow president of the United States, who had a lot to say about, what George Bush did or didn't do. A lot of advice whispering in George's ear. I would say that in my case, if I were to tell you what I would like to do as a vice president, I would call myself the small business vice president. There are 27 million small business people in this country. Every single month, several 100,000 new small businesses are created. And small business is now the economic engine of the whole country. It creates the majority of the jobs. How many people out there realized that the majority of non-farm jobs in this country are created by small business? And interestingly enough, I love when they use that definition, non-farm jobs, because to me a farm job is small business too. A farmer is a small business person. So small business people create the majority of jobs, and yet nobody running for president ever knows anything about small business, ever cares about small business, ever understands the unique concerns of small businessmen or women, and that's something that I do because I'm one of them. So I would just spend my entire 8 years worrying about the issues that affect small business people, helping to get rules and regulations that stand in the way of success out, trying to get the IRS out of their hair, trying to get government out of their hair, and lowering taxes, which is what small business people want and need, and fighting to get someone in charge of the Small Business Administration, by the way, who is in fact a small business person. They keep naming career bureaucrats to head the Small Business Administration, just like every other cabinet post. And what we need is small business people, not lawyers, in government. And so lawyers are deal killers. They know nothing about business. They know nothing about how to make things better for business people. They only know how to make them worse with more rules, more laws, more regulations. So I say we get the lawyers out and we bring small businessmen in, and I will be your small business vice president. And the other issue that's my niche issue is education, because we homeschool our 4 children. and I think we need choice in this country. Every parent has a right to determine their children's future, not the politicians, not the bureaucrats, not the education unions, the teachers unions. It's got to be the parents, and we need vouchers on the state and local level to help parents choose whatever form of education they want. That's called freedom. I see liberals always fighting for choice when it comes to abortion. I think the choice that matters is for children to be able to, and parents to be able to choose for those children to go to choose whatever kind of education that's best for your future, whether that's homeschool, private school, Catholic school, parochial school, charter school, or public school. You have a right to choose. Government has no right to force it down your throat. And that would be the two things I would spend my entire 8 years as vice president, worrying about would be educational reform, alternative education, freedom for parents, and fighting for the rights of small business people.
With that as the job description, what in your life story recommends you as the best person to be the vice president of the United States?
Well, I think what makes me the best is that, I break the mold. I'm the anti-politician, I think that whole small business angle, I hate to beat it to death, but I think, this country needs somebody who's not your typical politician. Politicians are so arrogant and out of control. I don't know if you've seen the big news story. A couple days ago I knew it was going to break because the first place all news comes from is Drudge. Then it breaks onto the major news stories like CNN and Fox News. Well, now it's on Fox News that John Edwards, the former Democratic presidential hopeful, who now was hoping he would become the vice presidential nominee, by the way, of Barack Obama. It's alleged now that he was caught in a Beverly Hills hotel visiting his girlfriend, who was his campaign staffer, while his wife is dying of cancer, visiting his girlfriend, who he's been having an affair with, and she got pregnant and had his baby. And he was visiting the baby, born out of wedlock, and his girlfriend while his wife's dying of cancer. That's an example to me, if it's proven to be true, and they've got photos, they've got him dead to rights, it seems like. That's an example of the arrogance, the out-of-control arrogance of all our political leaders. Isn't it time for a guy like me, who's been married 17 years, 4 kids, homeschools them, has a small business with 35 employees, comes from humble beginnings, son of a butcher, a citizen politician, a guy who wants to go to Washington for 8 years so he can fight to take power away from Washington and give it back to you, the people, and then I want to leave at the end of 8 years. I don't want to be a career politician. I couldn't afford to be an honest career politician. So I'll do it for 8 years, then I'm going to go home to my wife and family and my business and be done with it. Isn't it time for someone like that?
Tell us a little bit about your business and what you've done there.
Well, I have lots of businesses. I'm an author. I've been the author of 6 books. I am a TV producer. Matter of fact, I just found out today that a new TV series that I am co-producer of will be making it on the air on the Travel Channel. I've had a hit TV show in the past on Spike TV. I am also a motivational speaker who speaks all around the world. I've got a new documentary coming out about Entebbe, one of the great military rescues of all time, when the Israeli army swooped into Uganda and rescued all those hostages on an Uganda airstrip and flew them back to Israel, one of the biggest miracles in the history of military raids. And most of all, I'm known, believe it or not, as America's odds maker in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm an odds maker who's become a big-time celebrity in the sports world by picking the winners of sporting events. And that's really how I made my original fame on most of my original money before I got into TV and books and all those other things. And I'm very proud of that background because, I like to say, what the big difference is, Jim, between Vegas and Washington, D.C.?
All right, and you tell me.
In Vegas, the drunks gamble with their own money.
All right.
In Washington, they gamble with your money, the taxpayers' money. And so I'm proud to be from Nevada. At least you get a fair deal in Nevada. When you come gamble in Vegas, at least you know it's not fixed. It's all on the up and up. But, when you go to Washington, D.C., you have no chance. Any taxpayer from North Dakota is literally beaten by corrupt rules and by corruption and by bribery. The minute you step foot in Washington, you've lost as an honest taxpayer. And so, I think it's great that I'm from Nevada. I think Nevada's a good example of doing it right. We have smaller government there, and we have lower taxes, and people are free. And that's kind of the way I'd like to take the direction of the whole country.
Well, on a lighter note again, since you were or are an odds maker, what would be the odds that you would give for Congressman Barr and yourself?
Well, believe it or not, they bet on things like that in England. You can't do it legally in Vegas on political elections, but you can in England. and they've set the odds. The most recent ones I saw were 25 to 1 on Bar Root. 25 to 1. Obama was a very slight favorite over McCain, and then we were 25 to 1. That was about a month ago before any polls came out that showed us at 6%. So I would say at this point, certainly we're an underdog. Certainly we're a big underdog, but I would say maybe 19 to 1, 20